Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. Well, I'm Brother Ray Dennis, and I'll be the MC for today. I will tell you that when Brother Rice called me and asked me, I paused for a while, and he was like, "Are you still there?" But I did agree, and I'm honored. We're here celebrating 85 years. 85 years of our chapter. And we're celebrating Brother William Perry, our charter member. And today we have his family and his blue and white family all together. And just thinking about, one, for his family, what they had to sacrifice for him to build a chapter, a state, region. I mean, that's a lot. So one, we thank you for sharing, Brother Perry, with us.
Certainly.
Definitely. And then, like I said, to our chapter, just our legacy. I'm honored that we have our national officers, both elected and appointed, both current and past, regional, our distinguished service members, and just simply our brothers here together. So we're going to go ahead and get everything started. So we're going to start with a prayer by our chapter secretary, Brother Braggs, and then our president, Brother Dr. Stephen Rice, will come and give us our occasion.
Let us pray. Lead me through the vale of shadows. Bear me o'er life's fitful sea. Then the gate of life eternal may I enter, Lord, with thee. Close to thee, close to thee, close to thee, close to thee. Then the gate of life eternal may I enter, Lord, with thee. In this moment of your presence, wherein is your power, grant us the privilege to remain close to thee. Amen.
Amen.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Phi Beta Sigma chapter of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, we want to welcome you all to our celebration of our charter members. So 85 years ago, a vision was sought and it became a reality. And because of that, many of us here are members of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. If you were made in the Western region, raise your hand. All y'all have one person to thank for that. That's Honorable William Perry, who knew that the need of Sigma had to be in the West. And because of that, we have grown. So today we celebrate not only him, but all the charter members of our chapter as we continue to be a legacy in this great city we call of angels, Los Angeles. Continue to spread our light as Sigma been, a brotherhood, scholarship, and service. Forever living up to our mottos, a culture for service and service for humanity. So I thank you all for coming out here today. I just want to thank the family for being here today. We know that God has continued to be in control through this pandemic. We're able to celebrate our great legacy. And I know that Honorable William Perry's vision was for us to be a legacy to this chapter. So I challenge you all today, what will be your legacy 20 years from now in this chapter? If you haven't started it yet, start it today in honor of our first chapter president, the Honorable William Perry. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother President. Now we will engage in talent expression with a poem from our Brother Harvey Johnson.
Good morning, brothers. Good morning. This poem is called Praise Song for the Day. It was written by Elizabeth Alexander and was a poem for Barack Obama's presidential inauguration. Each day, we go about our business, walking past each other, catching each other's eyes or not, about to speak or speaking. All about us is noise. All about us is noise and bramble, thorn and din, each one of our ancestors on our tongue. Someone is stitching up a hem, darning a hole in a uniform, patching a tire, repairing the things in need of repair. Someone is trying to make music somewhere with a pair of wooden spoons on an oil drum with cello, boombox, harmonica, and voice. A woman and her son wait for the bus. A farmer considers the changing sky. A teacher says, take out your pencils, begin. We encounter each other in words, words spiny or smooth, whispered or declaimed, words to consider, reconsider. We cross dirt roads and highways that mark the will of someone, and then others who said, I need to see what's on the other side. I know there's something better down the road. We need to find a place where we are safe. We walk into that which we cannot see. Say it plain, that many have died for this day. Sing the names of the dead who brought us here, who laid the train tracks, raised the bridges, picked the cotton and the lettuce, built brick by brick the glittering edifices that they would keep clean and work inside of. Praise song for struggle. Praise song for the day. Praise song for every hand-lettered sign and fighting at our kitchen tables. Some live by love thyself as thy neighbor. Others by first do no harm or take no more than you need. What if the mightiest word is love? Love beyond marital, filial, national, love that causes a widening pool of light, love with no need to preempt grievance. In today's sharp sparkle, this winter air, anything can be made, any sentence begun, on the brink, on the brim, on the cusp. Praise song for walking forward in that light.
Okay, sharing in this time is about legacy. And when we think of our Honorable Brother Perry, the legacy that the vision that he had to, like you say, bring Sigma out west and help it grow, that's a selfless act. So first, I want us to think about, just take a second, just a quick second, we're not gonna be too long, but think about, what am I contributing to that legacy for the next 85 years? Because he had to know that Sigma wasn't just for him. He had to know it was for all of us and people that he knew and didn't know. So just take about 3 seconds and just think about what will you contribute to that next legacy. Mm-hmm. At this time, we will have our chapter historian, the Honorable Brother Anthony Samad, who I love listening to because I'm one of those people who like to sit at the feet of the elders and learn, and one day I'll sit down more with him and learn even more. But at this time, he's going to come and share the history of our chapter, our region, our state, and of the Honorable Brother Perry.
Good afternoon, brothers. Well, still morning. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge our current chapter president, Brother Dr. Stephen Rice, for doing this. This is really a visionary engagement. It's interesting that this is the first charter day that we've had in 85 years that I'm aware of, at least the last 45 since I've been in here. And it's important to have events like this so that brothers can understand the institutional memory of the organization. I had the opportunity to be in the presence of Brother Perry, and if Oscar Morgan was the mentor of Sigma, I never met a more serious Sigma than William Perry. William Perry was about the business of Sigma, and he used to say, brothers that don't pay dues ain't serious about Sigma. And he didn't treat them the same. The first thing he'd ask you is, you paid your dues, brother? All right. You know. And I believe his life membership is like in the first 25. He was one of the first to to pay life membership. I think he is right around where I know Dora was number 5. And I believe Alvin J. McNeil was number 1. And he was right there. Gil Francis was number 2. He did everything with intentionality. He didn't suffer fools lightly. And basically, if you wanted to know about the fraternity or about the church, he would sit down and talk to you about it. Okay. When you look at this list of charter members, he was intentional as to who he wanted to be a charter member. And these charter members have their fingerprints all over Los Angeles. When you think of our brother Nickerson, him and George Beavers started Golden State Mutual. Then he bankrolled Broadway Federal Savings with his insurance money. He said, we got a black insurance company, now we need a black bank. A lot of people don't know that Brother William Perry not only found our Sigma House, and he and Oscar and Charles Martin and several others put the money up for it, but he was president of our chapter about 5 or 6 times because him and Oscar would switch off because their name was on the house. Okay, so they said until the house was paid, they would be the president. And he was the chair of the housing committee. Now, this was when Lafayette Square was all white. Okay, Lafayette Square didn't begin to turn until the 70s. Okay, but a lot of people don't know that it was William Perry that found the location, the current location at 2270 South Harvard. He found that location for First AME Church. And if you ever visit First AME Church, if you go to the pavilion, the church pavilion on the south side, what they call the plaza, where the fountain is, you will see a plaque there dedicated. Masons call it a cornerstone, but you will see that he was integral in the church moving from 8th and Town to 22nd and Harvard. And then he turned around and bought the Allen House across the street. He wanted to buy the whole block, but he couldn't convince H.H. Brookins, who was the pastor at the time, to do it. Okay? When we talk about William Perry, he was the one with intentionality that wrote to the president at the time, whose name was James W. Johnson, and most of the fraternity up until the 90s thought that was James Weldon Johnson, but it wasn't until we produced a picture. This is not James Weldon Johnson. We had past presidents talking about James Weldon Johnson was an international president. Just, people need to do their homework. And so when you would sit in a meeting with William Perry, he would sit in the same seat, and Oscar would sit in the same seat. If Oscar wasn't in the president's seat, he would sit to the first seat on the far left, and William Perry would sit on the first seat in the far right. And I asked him once, why you always sit in the same seat? Because people in the church do that. Mm-hmm. People in the church, you come and they be telling you in my seat. So he said, consistency, brother. Plus, he didn't like Charles Martin's smoke. Charles Martin sat on the right-hand side in the last seat, and you come to a chapter meeting, it'd be like a cloud in the meeting, because Oscar smoked too. So Oscar be smoking in the front row, and Charles Martin would be smoking in the last row. But let me get back to intentionality. He purposely asked for the name of the fraternity, okay? That's doing things with forethought. And he always used to tell us in the 90s, he said, one day they're going to try to take that name back. You know, and he said, you guys don't let them take the name back. You know, and other chapters have tried to replicate that. You know, got this chapter in Atlanta, you know, Phi Beta Sigma Sigma. You know, you got a chapter in Maryland, Sigma Sigma Sigma. You know, but nobody has Phi Beta Sigma.
All right.
You know, and whoever came up with this idea of a chapter pen, I believe, is a tribute to William Perry, because, you know, you should wear this pen with pride. It's the only pen I wear now. I don't care about the other pens. This is the only pen I wore at the Conclave in Myrtle Beach, you know, and probably the only pen I will wear, okay? The rest of them don't mean much, okay? And so when we think of William Perry, we should think of him and these charter members as folk who go large. That's why Phi Beta Sigma chapter has so many haters, you know, because we didn't have the most members in Los Angeles. Most of the members in the early Western region were in the Bay Area, okay? But we always had numbers, okay? We were hitting close to 100 back in the 70s. The Conclave came out here in 1963 because they wanted to see our frat house. They was like, these boys got a frat house? Because not a lot of folk had frat houses then. You know, Alpha Sigma had a frat house. They had a frat house in Chicago, okay? They had a frat house in Atlanta. But not a lot of chapters had a frat house. So they came out here to see this frat house in the white neighborhood. Gilbert Lindsay was the Conclave chairman at that time, okay? And so we've always been known as the chapter that was doing things, you know. We had more regional directors than any other chapter. We had more DSC members than any other chapter, and we still do, I believe. And all of them followed the lead. Oscar was the first DSC member, or maybe he wasn't. That was Clarence Muse. Was it Clarence Muse? Huh? Clarence Muse, but he was the second or the third. And basically his DSC citation, this wasn't, you know, when you could put anybody in DSC. You know, after 89, you know, they started putting 7 people in, and they didn't have enough to put in. So, you know, they started scraping the bottom of the barrel, you know, just to get somebody from their region in. This is when you could only put 3 people in, okay? And his claim to fame was taking Phi Beta Sigma to the West Coast and making us a national organization. Because if you weren't on the West Coast, you wasn't a national organization, okay? That's foresight, you know, and that's intentionality. Because he was from Texas, okay? He came out here to go to UCLA and then USC. And a lot of people didn't know what Brother Perry did. You know, Brother Perry was a private investigator, okay? And he made a lot of money, you know. How many of you have seen that Denzel movie? What's it called? Lady in the Blue Dress? Huh? And you know, the white boys who would have these affairs and stuff, and you know, and hire their opposition would hire investigators to go out and find dirt on them. You know, Sigma knows a little bit about dirt, you know. So what he would do is he would come out, he would pretend to be the gardener. He always, anytime you saw him, you know, he had his sleeves rolled up in a jean shirt and jeans or khakis. And, you know, folk would come up and ask him who he is. He said, I'm just a gardener, not knowing that he owned the Sigma house, because he wasn't supposed to be in the neighborhood, okay? And because the house was in the name of Phi Beta Sigma Housing Foundation. Of course, they thought it was a white frat. You know, the Kappas got their house when Tom Bradley was their international president. You know, they can have one on the block, but you can't have two. And there's still parts of LA where that's true. You can have one in the neighborhood, but you get another one in the neighborhood, you the subject of the HOA meeting. Okay, who's letting all these black people up in this neighborhood? So he was fearless in that regard. He wasn't limited by the times that said that we were only supposed to be in certain neighborhoods and certain parts of the city. And, you know, one of the last times I saw him, and we were just talking about this outside, he was the first to suggest that we should tear down the frat house and put an apartment building on that lot. And, you know, folks used to fight him. And then somebody put the apartment building down on the end of the block. He said, see, this is what we could do. And when we dedicated that building on Vernon, that was the line, he came out to see that. And I believe he died the next year. But we have to understand what kind of legacy we hold when we wear this pen. He was the first person that I saw to buy a brother who didn't have a blue suit. He would buy blue suits. That's when folks started, you know, if you were going to go to the conclave or if you were going to go to the regional conferences, if you didn't have a blue suit, William Perry would buy you a blue suit. Blue suit, white shirt, blue tie. And that's when you saw Brother Perry, that's what you saw him in. Blue suit, white shirt. He had this blue polka dot tie, blue and white polka dot tie. And he didn't vary over the long haul. That's when he came to a Sigma meeting, that's what you saw him in. You know, and he would talk about people who wasn't dressed appropriately. He was the one when we would have our regional caucuses to make sure that all of the brothers, he said, now you young guys, he says, I know you're gonna get out and party tonight, but you better be at the Omega chapter ceremony in the morning. And we all be bloodshot eyes, everything, but we'd all be at that Omega chapter ceremony in the morning. And that's the kind of orientation that we need to do with you new brothers. Yeah, you know, the collegiates, you know, they get into the chapter thing and, you know, they only want to do, you know, whatever Delta Gamma's doing at the Zeta Tau, you know, Delta Nu, you know, whatever, and they don't want to do nothing else. But you don't really get to see the fraternity until you on a national level. And you see when you go to conclaves, there are some chapters that bring their whole chapter to a conclave. You know, the boys in Memphis, they don't bring no less than 30 guys to a conclave. Okay, if you hold an office or you want to hold an office, you better go to a regional or a national, because that is what the fraternity represents. And so, in conclusion, he know about in conclusions. I got two more, right? No. In conclusion, this is a nice and fitting tribute to our brother. Okay, it really kind of lets you know that when you do make an impact, that it is not forgotten. You know, we have short memories now, and, you know, we forget what brothers do. But when you start something, they can never forget that, because they have to acknowledge what you started. And for that, we're appreciative of Brother William Perry. Thank you very much, brother.
Thank you. And let's thank our honorable brother, Dr. Anthony Samad. And I'm just soaking that up. It's like, wow, because I mean, there are probably some books that we can read, But you don't get this. You don't get the humanity of the person just by reading the book. You get that from those who have stood with them, who've sat at their feet, who's learned, which there are a couple of brothers in this room that I've noticed that we should be doing that too as well. And that's what continues our legacy and our lineage. I mean, just think about what Brother Samad just talked about, that's in our lifeblood. As a chapter, strategic thinking, intentionality, breaking barriers, accountability. That's the things that we should be living with every day when we fellowship with one another and when we are servicing the community, building up the next generations. That's our lifeblood. So with that, we're moving to the portion of our program today where we are, again, honoring Brother Perry with the laying of the wreath, which will be conducted by our first Vice President, Brother Javon Moore, and our second Vice President, Brother Sammy Riley Jr.
All right, brothers, sorors, friends, and family. We're here today to celebrate the charter member of this great chapter. Under the vision and honorable Brother William Perry, who saw a need to establish Phi Beta Sigma in the West, wrote a letter to petition the international president to establish Phi Beta Sigma fraternity in Los Angeles. This will be the first chapter west of Texas, and 85 years later, we're still here, spreading our principles of brotherhood, scholarship, and service. For 85 years, this chapter continues to live out the motto, culture for service, service for humanity. You heard the Honorable Brother Dr. Samad give us some fun facts today about Brother Perry, some things that I learned today, and all of us should continue to thrive and learn about Sigma. We're still here providing our communities with assistance and academic advancement, our youth programs through scholarships and mentorship. We're still here building economic wisdom so others can thrive financially. So I got a question. Are you financial? I know I am. So here is our wreath for Brother Perry, honoring him as well as our 12 charter members of Phi Beta Sigma chapter. At this time, I'll hand things over to the MC with Brother Riley.
Let me officially say good afternoon, my brothers. As y'all have checked your watches, right? It is my honor and pleasure to be here before my chapter brothers today. And again, I reiterate, my chapter. I've been tasked with the opportunity of acknowledging our charter names. And let me read that Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 and 2 reads, "Now the Lord had said unto Abram, Go thee out of thy country," or as he said to our brother, "Go out of Texas, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show you, and I will make thee a great nation," or as I'll say, a great chapter, "and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing." Honorable Brother William Perry left his home in Texas, came out west, and established Sigma in Los Angeles. For that, I say the region has been blessed. Because of our charter members, our nation and our fraternity is great, and they all were blessed. My beloved, we lay this wreath in memory and as a token of our thanks to our beloved charter members. Brother Fred Baker, Brother George Beavers, Brother Edgar Brown, Brother Cecil Davis, Brother Aaron Douglas, Brother Dee Hodge, Brother William Nickerson Jr., Brother Granville Norman, Honorable Brother William Perry, Brother E.M. Porter, Brother Clarence Smith, and Brother Oscar Stokes. Thank you.
Continue to say thank you and pay our homage to our honorable brother, William Perry, as well as all of our charter members. Now we will have our Director of Bigger, Better Business, Brother Dr. Antonio Williams. He will honor those Distinguished Service Chapter members that are here and present with us.
Good afternoon, everyone. I did not cross in the West. I crossed in the South, but I'm honored to be a part of this ceremony of one of the founding brothers. We are honored to have with us today our Distinguished Service Chapter members. The Distinguished Service Chapter is the highest honor a Sigma man can receive. Due to their hard work and dedication to our fraternity, these honorable brothers were given the key, including DSC number 76, the Honorable Brother William Perry, who we are celebrating today. Only 200 Sigma men have received this honor in over a 108-year history. Being inducted into the Distinguished Service Chapter is truly an honor in Sigma and in our society. Today we have DSC number 147, Honorable Brother Ronald H. Carter. DSC number 158, Honorable Brother Dr. Anthony A. Samad. And DSC number 173, Honorable Brother Jeffrey F. Sneed. Let's give them a round of applause and thank you for being here with us today and your continuous support of Phi Beta Sigma, not only in Los Angeles, but internationally. Thank you.
Again, thank you, brothers of the Distinguished Service Chapter who are here and present with us. We definitely honor and value you and value your presence. As I said earlier, these are the men whose feet we need to sit and learn from, and they're here with us. So whether you're 1 year into Sigma, 26 like myself, or if you just weren't necessarily made in the West, but you are raised in the West, these are the brothers who we need to continue to learn from. So thank you again for being here and being present with us today as we honor the Honorable Brother William Perry. While we're talking about history, someone wants to win, although we know that, our chapter pin is that, Sigma bling for us now, as Brother Samad mentioned earlier. But we do have a Phi Beta Sigma pin that we are willing to part with, but you have to answer a question. So let's see who answers the question. So the question is, the trivia question, which chapter member was the first Black City Council member for Los Angeles and was DSC number 90? That is correct. Honorable Brother Gilbert Lindsay. We will move forward in the program where we'll have the Honorable Brother Ron Carter will bring remarks.
Good morning, brothers. And good morning to Brother Perry's family. When Brother Rice called me and asked me if I would make a presentation to the family, I was very honored, and I'm very honored that the family actually accepted to be here. Thank you for being here, Miss Rosalind, and thank you, Melanie, for being here too. I just want to say a few things about Brother Perry. As it was mentioned, he was DSC member number 76. He was inducted into DSC in 1973. It's a long time ago. And Brother Perry was a very quiet, dignified man. He was very quiet. Brother Perry would be in the room and you wouldn't know he was there. I guess Brother Samad mentioned about the work he did. Maybe that was all part of his demeanor. I got to know Brother Perry. Brother Perry was my first real mentor in this organization. And I remember that whenever I would go to conclaves, he would always make me sit next to him. He'd say, Brother Carter, come sit here. This is before, brothers, they had regions sitting all together. You could sit wherever you want at the conclaves. And Brother Perry, I would sit next to him, and Brother Perry would, because of his stature in our organization, Brother Perry would introduce me to a lot of his friends in the fraternity, all across the fraternity. So I got to know a lot of the guys who weren't in the Western region, the older guys, very quickly because Brother Perry was teaching me that. And I am always thankful to him for that. The other thing I would like to say, and I think Brother Samad touched on this because this is something that I wanted to say, is that when you think about Brother Perry, you think about the foresight that he had to actually say to the national organization, we want to have the name Phi Beta Sigma for our chapter. That's powerful. I don't think that's done in any other organization. And Brother Perry asked for it, and he got it because he was respected in our organization. And they gave it to him. And there's no other chapter in our organization that will have that name. And that's why we wear the chapter name with honor. You know, we've had a lot of great men that has been in this chapter, and there's a lot of great men who are in the chapter right now. And all I can say is that Brother Perry was a visionary, and, you know, I'm glad to have had the opportunity to know him. So without saying much more, I'm going to present these flowers to his daughter-in-law, Miss Rosalind Perry.
Thank you so much.
And
Thank you.
thank you for sharing him with us.
We couldn't do anything but. It's been quite, it was quite a surprise, and it's been an honor for our family to know how well he was loved and how he has been recognized. It would have been wonderful if my husband could have been here, but he's ill and he's hospitalized right now. But as you can see, we've been taking videos, and we'll take it to him to let him see them today. And our oldest daughter, is on FaceTime right now. And so she is observing this also. So it's been a pleasure. And everything that you said about my father-in-law was true. It was true. He was quiet. He was a stickler for dress. He was just a wonderful person, the highlight of our family. And we are so honored that you have recognized him. And that's it. We're just really honored and pleased about that. So thank you very much.
I mean, just think about that. We talk about boldness, but also just sitting back, you know, listening, just sitting back, thinking about it. Like, think about the love. Again, like I said, we talk about how he came from Texas out to the West. And like I said, he could have came out and just been here. But he came out and said, I'm bringing Sigma. Do you bring Sigma everywhere you go? Do people at your work know that you're a Sigma? At your church know that you're a Sigma? Is it worthy of knowing that you're a Sigma? That's what he brought. And that's what you're a part of. Director of our Sigma Beta clubs, who's leading the next generation, Brother Thomas Lyles, will come and present our past chapter presidents that are present.
Good afternoon, brothers. How are you? Yeah. All right. At this time, we will hear speeches and remarks from our past chapter presidents. We will begin with our past chapter president and past Western Regional Director, Brother Honorable Anthony Samad.
Well, brothers, I've already spoken, so I'd like to defer to the brothers who haven't spoken, but I appreciate the acknowledgement of it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Brother Samad. So we'll keep moving. At this time, we will have our past chapter president and past Western Region Director, the Honorable Brother Jeffrey Steed.
I will share one story because I think it's indicative of the current day relationship, collegiate/undergrad to grad brother. My first regional conference was in June of 1981 in Phoenix, Arizona. Conference that Brother Samad was elected the youngest regional director, I think, in the history of the fraternity. First banquet, first luncheon, sitting at a round table. Round table also included Brother Perry. I think Brother Riley, who was the outgoing regional director, had come to the mic, and he had started talking. And I'm talking to, my young cats that's at the table with me, and I'm just going on and continuing on with my conversation. Brother Perry was to my right where Brother Lyles is right now, and he grabbed me by my forearm. It wasn't just get your attention. He got my attention. He grabbed my forearm. And he said, "Young man, don't you see that guy up there at the dais? It's time for you to stop talking." So, anybody that has ever been chastised in any way by me, whether it was as regional director, chapter president, what have you, any brother that had been thrown out of a chapter meeting for not paying his dues when I was chapter president of this illustrious chapter, Phi Beta Sigma chapter, or the current chapter I'm in now, KDS, that's a legacy to Brother Perry. I learned as a 20-year-old back in June of 1981 that you do things seriously. You take your station in this organization seriously, and you demand that from those around you. Doesn't mean we don't have fun. Don't mean I haven't slipped up and talked while somebody else was talking. No, but that message, that memory is permanently embedded in me. And I owe all of that. I owe everything that I've done in the fraternity to that lesson that Brother Perry taught me, because it was a no-nonsense lesson. And y'all know we got a lot of nonsense sometimes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Brother Sneed, for those kind words. Next, we will have our past chapter president and past Western Region director, the Honorable Brother Ron Carter.
Just want to say two quick things. The first one has to do with Brother Perry. And as it was mentioned in the past, the organization used to just induct 3 members into DSC. Brother Samad mentions that. Well, Brother Perry was inducted into DSC with 2 other gentlemen, Brother Gilbert Francis. I don't know how many of you brothers know who Gilbert Francis is, but Gilbert Francis led our Orchid Ball. He was the Grand Master of our Orchid Ball before he died. And he was a very prestigious individual in our organization. His wife, Edith Francis, was the Grand Bacillus for Zeta Phi Beta sorority. Also, there was another gentleman by the name of C. Melvin Patrick, who was a very distinguished brother in our organization. Those were the 2 other guys that got into DSC with Brother Perry. Very prestigious men in our organization. And then, as it relates to the chapter, all I can say is that I'm very proud to see where the chapter is going. I see the handoff from Brother Hogan's to Brother Rice, and things seems to be going in the right direction. As I mentioned to you, gentlemen, before, there was a time when this chapter was on its last breath. And Brother Miller, Ernest Miller, called me. I had served as chapter president already. Brother Miller called me and he said, "Ron, we have to go back and serve, because if we don't, the chapter is going to die." And I remember recruiting Brother Samad, Brother Lancaster, Brother Taylor, Brother Miller, and we began to build the chapter back up to its prominence. And so, there's a lot of folks that say a lot of things about our chapter, but our chapter will never die because of guys like Oscar Morgan, whose feet I served at, and brothers like William Perry, Charles Martin, Jimmy Anderson, Brother Pruitt, whole list of brothers whose coattail I was able to lean on. So brothers, just keep it going. You guys are doing wonderful work. Today is a testament to that, and all the other things you're doing. And the one thing that I know that you young brothers need to know is that when we needed help, we went to Brother Perry and Brother Morgan and Brother Pruitt and Brother Martin. They didn't come to us because they don't know what we need. So if you brothers need help, you have to approach the older brothers and ask for help. You want somebody to mentor you, you got to ask them to mentor you. They don't just pick you out and say, come here and stand here and I'll be your mentor. So brothers just know that they're brothers in this organization with a lot of history, not only in this organization, but in life. They can help you. So just keep it going, Brother Rice. I'm here for you, as I told you. I'm a phone call away, a text away, and I'll do whatever I can to assist you.
Thank you, Brother Carter. Next, we will have our past chapter president, Brother Colin Taylor, come on up and offer some remarks.
I will say this, I was chapter president 1999 to 2000. At the time, Phi Beta Sigma chapter was going through the transitional period that Brother Carter just mentioned, where we were really struggling to stay afloat. And I was tasked by Brother Morgan and in memory of Brother Perry to keep the chapter going no matter what. I can tell you right now that was a personal sacrifice for myself because I was also getting married at the same time. So I had to deal with trying to put together marriage, a family, but to keep the chapter going. And one of the things that I did, which was to keep the chapter going, was to establish the newsletter, which I would mail out. Myself and my wife, we'd sit down, fold those newsletters up every month and send them out just so that brothers in the area would know what Phi Beta Sigma chapter was doing, but more important, to know that Phi Beta chapter was still here. And to that, I see the chapter now where it is, and all I can say is I am proud of this chapter. I am proud to be representative of this chapter, and I am proud to keep the legacy of brothers like Brother William Perry.
Thank you, Brother Taylor. At this time now, we will have our past chapter president and first vice region director of the Western region, Brother Sidney Jackson Jr. will come forward.
Thank you, Brother Lyles. Everybody knows I wear Sigma dear to my heart, on my sleeve, in my brain all the time, 24/7. And Phi Beta, being a Sigma to me, and I'm sure to all of you, is special. There's a reason why out of Divine Nine, we're called Sigmas, the last letter of our three, and everybody else is the first. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why Phi Beta Sigma chapter has the name of the fraternity. And that's special. And when I joined the chapter, as Brother Carter said, I came to his office to my first chapter meeting after I got out the military. And it was Brother Carter, Brother Donald Lancaster, myself, and I think Brother Taylor was there. Our chapter meeting of 4 members. And now I had the honor and privilege to be our chapter centennial president. And my first goal was to make sure, Brother Samad said we had close to 100, but we never had 100 members for our chapter. And I made it my personal goal to make sure that we had 100 for our centennial year, and we made it at 103. And since that year, we have never been below 100 as we push forward to Brother Rice, Brother Hogan's, and that is where we're going to stay 100 plus, and we're moving forward. So Phi Beta Sigma is special. Phi Beta Sigma chapter is very special, and I thank Honorable Brother William Perry for founding this chapter and asking for the fraternity name. Because I tell you what, I let the other brothers in the frat know that I'm from Phi Beta Sigma chapter, the #1 chapter in this fraternity, and also the Divine Nine as well. They say, Sidney, what chapter you from? I go, Phi Beta Sigma chapter. No. What chapter you from? Phi Beta Sigma chapter. I said, we have the fraternity name, and that's how special we are out here in Los Angeles at Sigma Men. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Brother Jackson.
Yes, sir.
So at this time, we will have our immediate past chapter president and deputy chief of staff for the international president of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, Brother Gary Hogans.
Good afternoon.
It's a pleasure to stand before you. I think the words I like to say is legacy. I think it's important. I was around Brother Perry, never had a chance to really get to know him. All I knew, he was just the coolest brother, the most well-dressed, clean brother that was around of all the graduate members that I looked up to. Hair waved back, you know, he had the nice waves. I don't know what he did then, if it was chemically done or whatever, but he was sharp, you know. And we are the best dressed chapter in the fraternity even today. So we have to say we got that from Brother Perry. But I advise you to get to know people as we did when we were young, to get to know Oscar Morgans and William Perry's and Brother Dr. Martin. Those names that Dr. Samad and Brother Carter mentioned, they were just the legends as we came in the late 70s as to who they were. And right now you have around you those same legends, and you need to get to know them. You need to get to know Honorable Brother Ron Carter. You need to get to know Honorable Brother Anthony Samad. So then 15, 20 years from now, you'll be able to, wherever we are all laid, and come out and share the things that we did, because this chapter is so important to us. And so for all the past presidents, when you love this fraternity, you really never aspire. I never really aspired to be chapter president, but I just wanted to serve this chapter. And I just put my hands to it, and it became that. And I was ready to step down from here and just say, woo, give it to Dr. Rice. You know, 4 years is plenty. And then got the call to become Deputy Chief of Staff. So when you really have involved in something that's near and dear to you, you'll put your whole heart into it. So all we're asking you to do is continue to put your whole heart into Phi Beta Sigma chapter, which in turn will benefit the entire fraternity. And let's just keep the brotherhood strong. And to Dr. Rice, again, as you carry on the legacy of chapter presidents, again, just know we're always there to help you, support you. We ended up at 129 chapter members this past year, and we look forward to 150, 175, 200 as we continue to move forward. God bless you.
Well, thank you, Brother Hogan, for those kind words. At this time, we will have our chapter president of Phi Beta Sigma chapter of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated.
Bring it home.
Brother Stephen Rice
Thank you.
will speak.
I appreciate it.
I just want to thank you all for coming out today. This has been bigger than I could ever imagine. So I just want to thank you all. I just want to thank Dr. Theo Files, who came up with the ideas of doing a charter day. And we're trying to figure out how to do this in the midst of a pandemic. We really wanted to honor our charter member, especially Honorable William Perry. It's surreal to stand by the first president of this chapter to the current president of the chapter. Yeah. And all the legacies whose footsteps I walk in and whose shoulders I stand on. And so for that, I am truly honored and grateful for that. As you know, we did lose one of our chapter presidents this past end of July. That was Brother Charlie Wade. And these are actually his photos. I wanted him to be part of the ceremony today. So these are his photos of our founders. Wow. So I got it from his family and wanted to bring it here so that Brother Wade will be here with us today. Wow. And as you know, with Brother Wade, he always wanted to give back. And so I thought about who would Brother Wade want these photos to go to. He wanted to go to a younger brother in this fraternity who would truly appreciate it and utilize it. And the first brother I thought of was Brother Thomas Lyles. These to you. Wow. On behalf of our beloved Charlie Wade, I know that it will hang in your home, and for those who come to his house, check out these founders photos. So thank you, Brother Wade, for all that you have all done, especially for our collegiate brothers. I just want to recognize that we do have the president of Kappa Delta Sigma chapter, Brother Woodrow Bailey, here, so I appreciate you for being here. Also the Western Regional Director of Social Action, so Thursday night meal. He's busy doing a lot of work in Los Angeles, feeding those who are food insecure, and so we appreciate you for your heart and your legacy for service, and all the members of Kappa Delta Sigmas who came out today.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate y'all.
To all of our past presidents, our DSC members, I just want to thank you, and to the family, thank you for, I know it's kind of last minute, but I appreciate you all coming out today, and hopefully we did him honor, Brother Perry honors today. And I think that's all that I had. But I want to open up for any quick comments any brothers want to say before we do our benediction and our fraternity hymn.
Real quick, Brother Rice.
Yes, sir.
I forgot to say that during my comments, but One thing about our chapter is that if you notice in this room, we have brothers that were not made in this chapter, that were made in other regions, right? Dante Lewis, Malik, all these good brothers, right? And it's funny how Phi Beta Sigma chapter, when brothers come into this chapter from wherever they go, they always stay here because the chapter is warm and the chapter is brotherly, and it doesn't matter where you're from. You a Sigma, you come to this chapter, you can hold a position, you build relationships with us, and it's a testament to also the chapters that are in the region because Phi Beta Sigma chapter and KDS have a very good relationship. Very, very good. When it comes to voting, community service, whatever you want to do, make the call, they here. So it's just a testament of how Sigma is, and I think Brother William Perry would be very proud and honored that we were carrying on this chapter in such a meaningful, brotherly way. Thank you, Brother Rice.
I also wanted to add, I'm not sure if y'all know the magnitude of our region now because of Brother Perry. We have chapters in Tokyo, Okinawa, in Seoul, Korea, Hawaii, Bahrain under Brother Sneed, and the Dubai area. And so we're now international because of Brother Perry. So it's all the Western states and then our international chapters, and that's big. And I don't know if you ever imagined it be international, but we are one of the international regions because of that. So we just want to make sure you are aware that he's gone international. Yes. Yes. All right, brothers, we'll have our benediction from our chapter secretary, Brother Reverend Alonzo Braggs, and then we will do the fraternity hymn. And Brother Braggs, if you can pray for Brother Melville Perry, that healing will come. We know that God is a healer. He has never failed us yet. He's done it before, and I know he can do it again, that he can come home and be with his family shortly. So let's keep him in our prayers during our fraternity hymn.
Let us pray. God, we pause in this created and ordained moment to reverence you as the author and finisher of our faith, our focus, and all of those institutions and moments that we've been allowed to facilitate. We pray now, God, that your healing hand would reach to the body of Brother Perry, from the crown of his head, God, to the sole of his feet. Strengthen, restore, regulate, and stabilize his body in your way, per your will. Grant him complete healing, and we thank you for it. And now, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord cause his face to shine upon each of you. The Lord with his favor and his mercy be gracious unto you, now, henceforth, and forevermore. Amen.
Amen. Brothers left on founders. The founders of our wondrous band in numbers over 3 taught ideals high, which soon became a part of every feat. Said they are cause, let us make known. Oh, brothers, don't dismay. Fear not, fight on, for in this wise our cause speeds on its way. Fear not, fight on, for in this wise our cause speeds on its way. From western plains to eastern hills, there comes a shout of praise, a shout which tells of victory, bids Beta Sigma raise. A shout which swells to loud hurrahs, and to us seems to say, fear not, fight on.
speeds nobly on its way. Fear not, fight on, for our cause speeds nobly on its way. March on, ye mighty hosts, nor think the journey's done, nor of the future deeds to boast, till we the victory won. And when we hear from time to time, O Sigma, what of the day, we'll thunder back along the line. Our cause speeds on its way. We'll thunder back along the line. Our cause speeds on its way.
Lord, keep us in your care, and we trust you for this in Jesus' name. Amen.
And when we hear from time to time, O Sigma, what of the day, we'll thunder back along the line. Our cause speeds on its way. We'll thunder back along the line. Our cause speeds on its way.